Money Radio, discussing the business of making and spending money.
Hello there, and welcome to another edition of your favorite program on television, Money Radio. Money Radio is a business economy program. My name is Winifred Gwebo, and of course, I have the pleasure of having a company with me, leadership news analyst Kingsley Ali. Kingsley, you're welcome to today's program. It's my pleasure. So, on today's episode of the show, we are looking at artificial increase in cost of cement, building materials. What is the way out? Artificial increase in cost of cement, building materials. What is the way out? Amid the escalating high price of cement across the country, major cement manufacturers in Nigeria, Dangote, BUA and Lafarge, agreed that the price of a bag of cement will not exceed between 7,000 and 8,000 naira. The resolution was reached following a meeting between the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Doris Uzoka-Anite, as well as representatives of BUA Cement, Dangote Cement, Lafarge and Cement Producers. However, retailers of major cement producers in the country have continued to sell the commodity at high prices for between 10,000 naira and 15,000 naira all across the country, despite the recent agreement. In today's episode, we look at what point the things started getting worse in the sector after the country gleefully announced to the world that is now self-sufficient in cement production, and what should, as a matter of urgency, be done to halt the plunge. Of course, Kingsley is here to do justice to that. Kingsley, we have in our hands now a situation whereby bag of cement 50 kg is being sold between 10,000 and 15,000 naira all across the country, depending on the location. Because in the southeast, there were reports that bag of cement 50 kg was being sold for 15,000 naira. Yeah.
Well, so it's rather very unfortunate. But I think instead of beating about the bush, if this government is really serious about tackling this issue, it will not be the first time minister or whoever may have a round table meeting with all the stakeholders.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, you still go back to square zero. The simple truth is that you need to break the monopoly in this sector.
Yes. But how did we get here in the first place? Because that's the first question we should be asking on today's topic.
Yeah, if you recall the Yar'Adua administration,
yes.
the late the Yar'Adua administration, he granted licenses to 6 companies. These companies represent each of the 6 geopolitical zones, and each of them had 3 licenses. There was the bulk cement license. There was also the bagged cement license, and also there was a backward integration license. Okay? Now, the idea is that why they granted them that permit is one, especially for the bagged cement, because at that time cement was around 1,500, 1,600.
Yes.
And so government of that time was very disturbed, worried. They wanted to see how they can bring down that price. So that was what brought about that new policy to encourage the importation of this in the short run. So that in the long run also, they can now start producing locally.
Yes.
And immediately this Ibeto, you have the Ibeto, BUA, Medway, Minaj, Reagan, UNICEF.
There are quite a lot.
There are quite a lot of them. They came on board, and immediately the price of cement crashed. From that 1,500, 1,000, it came to around that 700 naira. And if you check the landing cost of that cement at the time, it was around 500 to 600. So if the landing cost was 500 naira, and they were selling cement, a bag of cement, at the cost of 800 naira, they were still making a kill profit, But then certain persons, certain individuals, felt like the status quo will not remain, and they began to scuttle the process. From there, government was influenced to stop the importation of cement. And in stopping the importation of cement, because the argument then was that, then Dangote Cement started producing, and then so government felt let them stop.
Okay, if I may just intervene, it was during this period that Dangote started his
Yes, yes,
in
yes.
Kogi State.
Kogi State, yes, yes. It was during
Obajana.
Obajana. You know, that was during the period. So,
Yes, Obajana.
yes, you know, so there was so much noise about it at the time. So they stopped the importation of cement, and because the idea is that we need to be now self-sufficient to encourage local production. But in doing that, they messed up a lot of things. They killed the very infant they were trying to nurture. For instance, the Eagle Cement alone has about 60 factories, employed about 30,000 workers across the nation at the time.
Yes, I remember we used to have, yes.
Yeah, you understand me? But they didn't even stop at that. They still went on to lobby for these cement manufacturers to stop the importation of clinker. Clinker is the major component of cement. It's made up of the limestone, we have clay. 80% of cement is just limestone and clay. And then, of course, 20% is gypsum.
Okay.
But if it is, let's say you want to do oil well cementation, then you can use iron ore in the absence of gypsum. Do you understand me? So what they also did was to stop the importation of that clinker, which is a major raw material for the production of cement. Now, you are now having these people that are...
Obviously, I would have thought that Nigeria is rich in limestone and all this clay and what is actually needed for the production of cement.
Well, at the time in question, we still needed to import some of this. Yeah, it was a process. It was something that they were really getting close to achieving. Then they stopped the importation of that clinker. The moment they did that, that was the end of this. That was where this problem started. So these licensed manufacturers could no longer produce cement. So even the likes of BUA, if not maybe grace of God, almost was in it almost affected their production, affected everything.
It was almost
crippled, totally crippled.
Out of the cement.
Out of the cement something. So at the end of the day, now what we have here now, we're having to contend with three major monopolies now. You have Dangote,
Lafarge.
And Lafarge. Okay. So when you look that they were up to 9 to 10 before, what happened to the Nkalagu Cement? What happened to Ibeto Cement? What happened to Eagle Cement? What happened to Minaj? What happened to all these companies? Now, to make this, because at the time government was quite futuristic, so they established what they call Cement Technology Fund.
Okay.
Because they wanted to encourage new entrants into the sector. They can draw from that fund, to implement their backward integration projects. Okay? That fund was domiciled with the Bank of Industry. In fact, as at 2016, it was around 13.2 billion.
Now, but what still happened to that fund? Is it still there presently?
That is the issue here. That is why we are here. That is why we need to look at how these things can be. Because if we have to gather and just extract commitments from the very people that are already
the cause of the problem.
Cause of the problem will not go anywhere. Now, first of all, government, they need to actually look at, because, okay, for instance, why wouldn't new entrants, foreign investors be allowed to come into the sector?
No, but you just spoke of a fund that is domiciled at Bank of Industry.
Yes,
why are these new entrants not interested in accessing the funds?
They are not. They are interested. The problem is government policy.
Okay.
Do you understand me? Because the idea is that, you see, they need to tap into that fund. They need to access the fund, use the fund to build on their backward integration projects. That means in their local manufacturing projects. Okay, they need money, they need the loans. And let me just, maybe for the benefit of our viewers here, as at the time this thing was happening after the death of Yaradua, there was also that allegation that CBN also silently sent words to the commercial banks not to fund any of these other companies that were licensed.
Okay, but how true was that?
We don't know. That's why I say it's an allegation. But the truth is that they were so crippled, they could not access loan, they could not do anything. In fact, one of them, the Eagle Cement, I remember that Eagle Cement, yes, they were owned by the Chinese. Now, at that time, they could no longer import that clinker, and they were having issues. So they said, okay, we have a limestone, we have a land with limestone we acquired in Oku State, maybe we use it to build our land, a place where we can clinker factory or something like that. So, well, what happened? It was alleged that the governor of the time also frustrated it. I don't know if you're getting it. Ibeto also made similar move. Ibeto, the governor of the time in Ebonyi State, you remember in Kalagu Cement now, they also frustrated it. Because they were, I don't really know what got into it.
But why would government, from what you just, the explanation you just gave, why would government create a monopolistic market run the production of cement?
Unfortunately, that is the situation in this country.
And that takes me to when during the agreement, the federal government extracted a promise from these cement producers that they were going to reduce the cost of cement to between 7,000 and 8,000 naira, which has not come to be. And the federal government did threaten that if they don't toe that line, they were going to open the doors for imports or give more licenses for cement.
They don't need to.
Why would the federal government say
they
that?
Don't need
That's
to.
subtle blackmail.
Yeah, no, they don't need to do that. It's just all it takes is that political way to renew those licenses. Do you understand me?
Yes.
The license that was given to Reagan, the license that was given to Medwell, the Ibeto, and all the rest of them, many of them, UNICEF, they just need to do is to renew those licenses. So these people can get to work. But remember, sorry to cut in here, you remember at the height of all this increase in the price of this commodity, BUA, Abdul Samad Review then came and said they are going to crash the price of cement.
Yes, earlier before this time.
Yes, and the thing came down to
and
around.
We thought about, and he told us 3,000.
He did. Yes, he did.
Then what happened?
He did. So he did. But then somewhere along the line, that thing was also scuttled. Okay? But what we're hearing now, it may be true, it may not be true, is that actually they did, but then they are distributors. Those who will come pick from them to go and resell.
For retail.
Yeah, for retail. Also decided to sell at their own price. I don't think that is the truth.
I
don't think. The issue is just that somebody.
Happening? Is it that these major cement producers, they are holding the government by the jugular? Because one would have expected that the interest of the consumers, which is the population now, would be of paramount interest first to the federal government than satisfy the whims of these cement producers.
That's why I think it requires that political will. You can't see. They are petting this big three. Let me just call it. Because recently what they have noted is that this Cement Producers Association of Nigeria had even met with the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment. The same thing now.
I think there was a report to that.
Yeah, they had even met with
how they can.
Yes, you can break this monopoly. This price can crash. It's a question of law of demand and supply.
Yes.
If it's just you and I selling this product, we can afford to fix anything we like. If we feel that it's at cutthroat and those who want to protest, they can come to us and say, okay, we'll reduce. They are at our mercy. Do you understand me?
Yes.
But when you have so many people producing the same item, the price is supposed to come down.
Yes.
So it's not a matter of having a meeting with the Minister of Works. What is all this? The Minister of Works wanted to build concrete roads.
Yes.
To do that, you need cement to do that.
And even the federal government has also said you want to start his own housing units.
Yeah, they are talking of starting housing units. They are not even concerned that it's not about even closing. Before they were telling us 17 million housing deficit. Now it's around 22 million. They are not concerned that a lot of people now can no longer afford house rent.
Yes.
They can no longer afford. So many, if you go under some bridges in this country, you see people living under bridges. You go to makeshift tents, you see people staying there. You go to bachas, you see people staying there. Because they can't afford the rent anymore. So you are talking of closing, you are not even talking of those that are now you have by your policy, a deliberate policy, you have pushed them to that that end. So what we are looking at is that it's not about government. You are trying to extract commitment. Break the monopoly. What has happened to the fund, Cement Trust Fund, with Bank of Industry? Let these new entrants into the sector begin to access that fund. Let them use it to develop their own backward integration projects. That is what is needed at this time. All this lip service will not help us. You know, we are used to a government that will call 1,001 meetings in one day. As long as they are meeting, there's a closed door meeting. We have heard this. They will call press people. Press will come and do their own. The government spin doctors will come and say their own. People are getting tired. People want to see action.
Wow, that is quite explosive there. We have to go on a break. When we come back, we'll return back or revert back to the topic of today. Don't go away. Stay tuned. You're welcome back. The program is Morning Radio, reaching your leadership television. We'll be looking at artificial increase in cost of cement and building materials. What is the way out? Of course, I have in the studio with me leadership news analyst Kingsley Ali. Kingsley, thank you so much once again. Yeah. Now, just before we went on a break, we were talking about the meeting with federal government delegation and cement manufacturers, which is BUA Cement, Dangote, Lafarge, and other cement producers. And of course, the another minister that was also in attendance was the Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Doris Uzoka-Anite. Now, just before we went on break, you did say that the Association of Cement Producers had a meeting with the minister on how to, produce more cement and be a force to reckon with in the cement manufacturing. What's the outcome and what is actually the minister doing in respect of that?
You see, let me be candid with you. This minister needs to sit down and work. That's just the plan. You see, we've read somewhere that he's been able to attract about $30 billion investment commitments into the country. Those are commitments. You travel here, you travel there, you extract commitments from investors. But the truth of the matter is that, you see, this sector is in turmoil. That's the gospel truth. Even if this is the only thing she's able to achieve, Nigerians will remember her. If she needs to borrow a leave, look at Olusegun Aganga, the once Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment. That man did a lot for the industry. Let her borrow a leaf from him. It's not a time to be having all this kind of meeting and creating soft landing for these people. No. Sit up. Come up with your own policies. Tell us what you want to do. Deal with this issue. Thank God for the investment commitments. Thank God for them. But we know if you have been in touch with Nigeria Investment Promotion Commission, you understand that these are just commitments. How many of them have been able to convert at the end of the day? Translate to reality. Let us stop traveling. Let us sit down and work. At this time, I'm just saying it now. Well, somebody
Kingsley, was she the minister that is it the SDF or the chief of staff said anytime she went to see her, she was not sick?
It was even Senator Shomole. Shomole also said the same thing.
Senator Shomole, I think
she's not on sick.
It was really an interesting one because Senator Shomole, always in his element, gave a sample that she was not on sick. That she would have said that she desired. I think what ministry then?
Women Affairs.
Women Affairs instead of
than
always.
Because she's managing a very sensitive sector.
No,
but she's not up and doing. That's the simple truth. She's behaving more like the after Aganga there was a certain Okechukwu Nelema, Dr. Okechukwu, another one was another lame dog who even contributed and almost killed the sector.
No, so given her position as Minister of Trade and Investment, what is actually required of her? What can she do What expertise is she supposed to bring to that ministry, to that sector, so that the sector trade, Nigeria's trade, will be up and doing?
Yeah, if a good leader will listen to her people or to his people, we will listen first. What are the demands? What are the suggestions? Look at what Yaradua did. Look at the funds I just mentioned now. Fine, let us revisit that. Let's go back. If it's going to be in the interest of the country, if it will break this monopoly, we are suffering from monopoly.
You know, Nigerians
After all the drama, we are
about
suffering from monopoly, nothing more. These things are artificial. These things you see are artificial.
Or could it also be tied down to the high forest rate Nigeria is experiencing now with the falling naira, value of naira?
You just said it earlier here in the studio, earlier at the beginning of this program, we are producing limestone. What is if they want to clear anything at the port now, they will clear it and bring it in. It's not a big deal. If they could import oil, are they not importing oil into this country? And we didn't hear any story. The problem is break the monopoly. Go back to the drawing board. Look at what Yaradua has done. Look at how you can improve on that. That is what we are saying. Renew all those licenses that were revoked when one of them petitioned the then President Goodluck Jonathan. Look at those licenses, renew them, bring more players in the sector, get them on board. Do you understand me? Issue more licenses, let them begin to, let there be activity. Right now, there's no activity. So all these things, and see, let me tell you, know how these rogue businessmen operate. You will call them to your meeting, they will be looking at you. They will even extract the commitment from them, but at the end of the day, they know how to settle.
They go behind.
It is not today they started.
No, the issue is, you know, many Nigerians are at a loss because given the protest that has taken place or that is taking place in some parts of the country, most of the placards being carried by these protesters plead to federal government to open the borders. And that this is not the time. No, so one begins to wonder, why is it the time? Because given the fact that Nigeria does not have favorable ease of doing business, why is the federal government still strong and that is not going to open borders?
It is the same because of those cartels in the market. Nothing more.
But these cartels, Nigerian cartels, are producing at high exorbitant rates.
Yeah, that's why I told you.
Making the,
that's
the
why
price
I say,
of products.
Of course, that I told you. It is artificial. That price you see is artificial. All those increase.
No, about cement and every other good. I keep asking. I think I've asked one or two guests in this studio. Why is the federal government not wanting to open the borders?
Yeah, because of some interest they are serving. That's just
at
simple.
Remember, temporarily.
Remember during the third regime of the immediate past President Muhammadu Buhari, where they said they will close the border to encourage local production of rice. Is it not true? At the time, before the border closure, a bag of rice was 50 kg around 7,000, 8,000, if you remember. Okay, so it was, and they were complaining, the local producers were saying, no, because of these foreign wars, we are not even selling, people are buying foreign. And they promised that if the border should be closed, even the price of rice will further crash. What happened? As soon as they were carefully following this Mr. President until he shut that border. The moment borders were shut, what happened? From 7,000 naira a bag to 8, then now it's until 30,000, then 50,000 before he left. What were they saying?
70,000.
What were they even saying? Oh, this Buhari government is the best government. We have so much enjoyed. It has so much favored us.
We are rice sufficient now.
Yes, that was what they were saying.
The importer of rice.
The government of the time also fooled Nigeria, the so-called rice pyramid. Remember?
Yeah, I saw it in one of the
they fooled over 200 million Nigerians. Ably led by Godwin Emefiele, who was also there that day. And they were so where is the right pyramid now? Where is it?
It disappeared.
So this is how this government, these people will operate. They will do the more you look, the less you see. So we don't want them to replicate it now.
I keep asking just before we go, what is the way out? Because that is the situation of grant. As it is now, the price of cement has granted some economic activities because some buildings, even our roads that the federal government is embarking on infrastructure, can we not be able to see the light of the day if the prices don't come down?
Mr. President has to exercise the full power of his office. Break this monopoly. It's very simple. Allow more players to come in. There are foreign investors that have indicated interest to come in. They just shut them out. Why? Let's go back to the Cement Trust Fund. Let these new entrants, you are going to either renew their license, or those of them you are going to bring on board, let them have access to the fund. What is it doing with Bank of Industry? What was the original plan when it was first established? Why can't they access it? They should stop chasing shadow. All these formal meetings with these people, they are the ones that are responsible for the woes people are going through today in this country. Whether it is in the food sector or whether it is in the commodity, anyhow you look at it, if you don't deal with this monopoly, these problems will not be solved. At the end of the day, most of these so-called ministers you see here, they are, what is even their pedigree before they came on board? How much can they resist in the real sense of the word when push turns to shove?
All right, thank you so much, Kingsley. It's been a pleasure having you in the program. Well, viewers, in case you're just joining us, the program is Morning Radio, and we'll be talking on the artificial increase in cost of cement and building materials. What is the way out? It has been our topic of discussion on today's program. Of course, my leadership news analyst, Kingsley Alu, has been with me in the studio. My name is Winifred Ugwebo. Don't forget, same time next week is another edition of the program. Stay tuned. I'm Winifred Ugwebo. See you there.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.